From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of Evenings LA with incredible great news about your first stimulus check update of 2021. In tonight's recording, we go over that $3.5 trillion recon which passed that pays viewers of this channel about $15,000. Cluster number one has hazard pay in there, and now a proposal to add $25,000 on top of that. Then cluster number two has home repairs in there and a proposal to add $250 billion on top of that for my seniors and my SSI. And then cluster number three passed, including money for seniors. And then we have breaking news across the board. Where is this coming from? Number one, you're going to see details no one thought could be happening, and it's happening tonight on Evenings LA. First, potential deal in the works. Yes, Joe Manchin may be signing on to a new deal, and I'll go over it. It's absolutely incredible. A deal for the recon. Then, news that there may be more student loan debt forgiveness coming, and one viewer this morning learning while watching the show his debt had been forgiven and he did not even know it. I'll go over the latest details in tonight's Evenings LA. Then we go over the big breaking news as COLA raises are going up 5 to 6%, but it's not stopping there because under fifth stimulus, you're going to get 2 more lifts and raises thereafter. I got all those details coming up in tonight's recording. But boy, we are just getting started. We got a big night across the board, and the excitement is right here. The excitement starts right now, and it starts in a big evening with big money, as one viewer got $36,000 in the last 5 days from this channel. I'm going to show you how you can get this money as well as we go into a big, bold, beautiful night. It starts with Evenings LALATE. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the globe. I hope your evening is gorgeous. Thank you for joining me. Direct from Santa Monica with incredible great news tonight about that $3.5 trillion recon. The news is getting better by the hour. With breaking news you're going to hear for the first time tonight on Evenings LA. We have cluster after cluster of checks that pay viewers this channel upwards of $15,000. Cluster number one, pass with hazard pay. Cluster number two with home repairs, and cluster number three was seniors. But now a push to add in an additional $25,000, a push to add in $250 billion, and then a push to add those monthly stimulus checks. Then we have the big news that no one saw coming as, wow, a potential deal could be in the works with Joe Manchin. That deal no one saw coming, and boy, it is incredible tonight. That deal shows that Joe Manchin may sign on to a deal that includes something for energy. Then a big surprise that no one saw coming with student loan debt forgiveness. And then, of course, that COLA raise. That is not the first, but one of 3 raises you're going to get if this stimulus becomes law. I have all these incredible details as we go into a big night. A big night with so much news across the board. I'm excited for you to join me, and we're just getting started. And this, my friends, is Evenings LALATE. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. We got a lot of breaking news tonight. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Stay to the final 15 minutes of this video because you are going to see everything, including how to go into the weekend with $36,000 of cash in your hands. Let's cut to start with the big details of each of these $3.5 trillion clusters of checks. A recon has been passed in a House subcommittee that pays viewers of this channel, you, yes, about $15,000. This is you if you're a single individual, married couple, SSI, SSDI. And as soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get this money, as I showed viewers how to get $40,000 from third stimulus. Let's go over all the clusters, and then we're going to go also over the provisions they're trying to add to those clusters as well. Cluster number one passed as the hazard pay and the elder care. This is huge. The hazard pay is taking the earned income tax credit, broadening the eligibility, and increasing the amount of money. Then they're going to have elder care up to $4,000 a year to care for an elder person, up to $4,000 a year as well to care for a young child. They got home repairs in there as well. If you live in a low-income community, free money will come to you to make those home repairs. Grants the college students got in there directly to them, to the university, and the Pell's grant made tax-free. $51,000 a monthly stimulus checks got in there as the CTC, the child tax credit, broadened. This is $300 a month, approximately over every month, every year, up to 18 years. If the child's in a low-income household, that is per child. Then they got big money in there for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured. 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike, $7,500 for a new electric vehicle, and a little bit more if it's for business use or a truck. There you go. That's the first cluster of checks in a $3.5 trillion recon pass that'll pay you upwards of about $15,000. But we are just getting started because guess what? A second cluster has now been, a new cluster has been proposed to be added in there. And how much would it pay you? A whole lot of money. It's proposed to pay you $25,000. Who's the proposal from? Maxine Waters, here from Los Angeles. She's proposed to provide you $25,000 of hard cash to go buy your first home. How would this work? It would likely give you the cash during the escrow period when you're about to close on the purchase of a home. The federal government give the money directly to the seller right across the board. This is incredible, great news across the board. Then let's turn to the next cluster checks passed, which includes home repairs. Yeah, more of those, and then paid leave. Well, paid leave. They got paid and family medical leave in there. $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. $800 a week if you make $40,000 or more per year. Then if you make $15,000 a year, that would be $400 a week. They got child care programs in there, household tax credits, money for seniors like dental and vision. See that more in the third part of this third cluster coming up a second. And then they got free pre-kindergarten and pre-community college, and finally, weatherizing your home checks. Yeah, more home repair checks. So they got checks in there to weatherize your home. Definitely need it, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. As I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. There you go. Well, you've met Maxine Waters with her $25,000 add-on she's proposing to add to the recon. Now let's meet Bob Casey. He's a senator. Maxine Waters, a House member. He's a senator, and he's proposing to add $250 billion to that recon for you. And who is it specifically for? SSI, SSDI, and my seniors. Yeah. So Bob Casey is changing how we look at this recon because we got clusters of checks that already have money in there for seniors. We have fifth stimulus that has money for seniors, but he wants to add more money in there. So what specifically would the 250 be used for? The $250 billion would be going out to the cities, counties, and states so that they can offer free home health care type programs to those seniors and people on disability. A big savings for many reasons. One, he's trying to allow the sons and daughters of these seniors that are potentially staying home and taking care of their parents because Medicare benefits are so expensive, or private Medicare is so expensive, that he wants to give the states the ability to offer free home health care to these seniors so that the son and daughter can go back in the workforce if they wish. And that gives you better services, gives you free services, and then allows your son and daughter to go make a living if they wish to. Great idea. And we're going to see more about Bob Casey in a second with the third cluster of checks they got in there passed. And yeah, you see there, more money for seniors. So let's go over what's in this third cluster. These are passed. These include free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheap and prescription medication checks, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers, checks for Medicare expansion, checks for seniors and dental, vision, hearing care, and checks to lower the eligibility age of Medicare. You're seeing for the first time on this channel only that Bob Casey, in a world exclusive I Can Report, is looking to drop the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 60 in that third cluster. It's a world exclusive only on this channel. So there you go, two clusters that are proposed to be added to three clusters that are already passed. What's the third cluster being proposed to be added? Yes, that monthly IRS stimulus check. As we go into the weekend, we have the incredible statement from the chief of staff. Yes, the chief of staff, the number one person on the staff, to the most important person for the recon, the most important person for the recon. And that individual says that now LALATE has delivered 3 million calls of advocacy, breaking all records in the United States. Here is the message which you may have missed. And I'm going to follow along with you and tell you what the message says in case it's too small to read on air. So the message is from a viewer after her conversation with the chief of staff from the number one senator for your recon. And the chief of staff says that now in total between congressional and senatorial offices, they have now received more contacts of advocacy from LA Purple Power than the number of signatures in the American petition. The American petition is 2.9, so we've now passed that. LA has now passed that with 3 million. Everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories. They now have more than what has been called just a bunch of signatures. We now know what is a better understanding of how the Americans are trying to make it through the pandemic. They have heartbreaking stories, and they have the voice of the people across the nation that has been too loud to be ignored. Then a personal message the chief of staff delivered to me in the final sentence of this message, and the message to me reads as follows: please, LA, continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people you, LA, have become, but continue that until this becomes law. I appreciate that. Meaning, keep on pushing, because we're not law yet. Now, going into the weekend, we have great news, of course, because the number one senator to give you a monthly IRS stimulus check is on board for that as well. And what's his name? Chuck Schumer. Here he goes. Donnie's wife and Debbie Applegate getting confirmations from Chuck Schumer. He's returning a monthly IRS stimulus check. So let's go over how they do this, how it gets done, and what you need to know going into a new week. It gets done the following way. We have a recon substantive that is a subcommittee. It's not a bill yet. It's a package. We have 4 places to add 1, 2, 3 of these add-ons to this recon. The first 2 are on the House side, and the third one is over on the Senate side. So let's go over what they are. They can add it to the recon. They can add it to the $3.5 trillion recon package, which is in that subcommittee now. Sheila Jackson's the number 2 in the Progressive Caucus. Or, number 2, they can add it before it becomes a bill on the House floor. Number 3, they can add it to the bill on the House floor before it gets to a vote. Meaning the House members look at the bill, say, I want to change this bill, let's add something in there. Then they call for a vote. And then finally, the most important step is the Vote-A-Rama, that 2-day event in the Senate that sounds like a B-52 song. Vote-A-Rama, yeah, I know you have a tie-dye shirt that matches the name of that set of the Vote-A-Rama shirt. I know you got a Vote-A-Rama shirt with the Vote-A-Rama jeans. I know you got that in the closet, in the back. You've had it since the 70s. The Vote-A-Rama is a 2-day event in which Chuck Schumer calls things for a vote to modify, make amendments to whatever was sent to him from the House. They look at the House bill, oh, it's missing something. Let's amend it. Let's change it. Let's add something in there. 2-day event called a Vote-A-Rama. And that is incredible. Who governs the Vote-A-Rama? Chuck Schumer. Who determines when things are called for a vote? Chuck Schumer. Who's the guy who wants to insert a monthly stimulus check in the provision of the recon? Chuck Schumer. Boy, we're getting good. We're just getting started. In the second half of this video, we got a lot coming up. It goes with the big surprise that there may be a possible deal in the works, and it's all with Joe Manchin. It stems from climate. It stems from the state of West Virginia, his home state. I have the latest details coming up after the commercial break. Then also coming up after the commercial break is student loan debt forgiveness, and more debt was forgiven this week. And one viewer learned his debt was forgiven while watching a show this morning on this channel, and I was in the live chat. The reaction by the viewer was unbelievable. I'll tell you what happened. Then coming up also is COLA raise. You may have heard the 5 to 6% COLA raise of your benefits, but guess what? It's only one of 3 raises that have been proposed for you over the next 3 months. I'll explain all those details and more. We got a lot coming up in the second half of this video, but stay with me as the big exciting details of a evening's broadcast continues. First, here's a little bit about the community page, and I got that big money for 3rd and 5th stimulus still coming up after the commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Evenings LA, direct from Santa Monica, with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. We got a lot coming up in the second half of this video. We'll be going over a potential deal with Joe Manchin. Boy, this is great news. We'll be going over that student loan debt forgiveness. More debt has now been forgiven this week. Whose debt? I'll go over the details. And then we go over the big surprise is COLA may go from 5 to 6%, and that is just a start. We got other sums of money that will be raising your benefits up, not one, but 2 more times thereafter. The latest details coming up in the second half of this video. We'll go over back to the exciting, great stuff of what's going on with Nancy Pelosi. As she said, the recon's going to get done. Wow, she said it's going to get done, and it will get done because it has to get done. What did she say? I have all the latest details in tonight's recording, direct from Santa Monica. Then we'll be going over to fifth stimulus, and we'll be taking a look at third stimulus, as one viewer got $36,000, and that's on top of the $51,000 he's got for this channel. I'm going to show you how to get these big sums of money as well. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Coming up next is Evening's Countdown right after this video. This video will automatically take you into our new hit show, Evening's Countdown, tonight at 6 o'clock. And then, very exciting, as 7 o'clock p.m. all the way to 4 a.m. in the next day, you're going to have shows every hour that are all about fourth stimulus. It's a big night and a big overnight show. You can just sit back and binge watch LALATE all overnight. So subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to the big surprise that no one saw coming with some more student loan debt forgiveness. Wow, this is a big one. And I have a story you ain't going to see in a long time like this. This morning on Morning's Countdown, I delivered the news about more student loan debt being forgiven and what happened. One viewer was on the live chat during that tape show and was watching and said, "Is that me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, it's you." He says, "Do you mean my debt has now been forgiven?" I said, "Yes, your debt has been forgiven." He did not know his debt had been forgiven until he found this channel and was watching the video just randomly, because certainly student loan debt was not in the title of the video, and he was just shocked that he had learned his student loan debt had been forgiven. Let's go over the incredible great news that he found in that video. The President of the United States initially had forgiven some student loan debt about a month ago, forgiving the student loan debt of individuals who became disabled after graduation. But the last 7 days has been the big news. The president has now forgiven student loan debt for people who worked at least 10 years after graduation in the nonprofit sector. And then the big one. The president is now forgiving 10 years of student loan debts for individuals who go work for their city, county, or state governments for at least 10 years after graduation. And that was his viewer. The viewer was an individual who works at the federal prison and was working there since graduation. It's been, I think it was almost 20 years for the viewer, and said, "I didn't know my student loan debts have been forgiven." I said, yes, they are. Similar to like someone who works at the public schools for 15 years after graduation, or a sanitation worker after graduation. Yes, this is you. Your debts have now been forgiven. Incredible, great news. The president, meantime, is proposing to forgive $10,000 of student loan debt for everyone else as well. That would come next. Meantime, let's turn to the big shocker, which you're not going to really see anywhere else except on this channel. Word of a potential deal with Joe Manchin. One viewer on Mornings LA today said, I explained this climate better than they had ever seen explained, because it is very complicated. This is a complicated subject. I'm going to make it as clear as I can to you. And I'll start with explaining the dramatics. We have 3 clusters pass, as you understand. In those clusters, which I don't cover on this channel, is money for climate passed. What is this climate? It's not the weather is the sky is blue or the sky is overcast or it's breezy today. Not that type of climate, even though we call it climate. It's things like carbon energy. It's electric vehicles, electric energy, fossil fuels, things like that. So that has now been passed. When we look at the recon, the moderate Democrats have 3 problems with the recon. Manchin has a problem with climate. Sinema has a problem with prescription medication, and they both have a problem with the total price tag of the $3 trillion. They need it into $2 trillion. That can get done. That's showing up next in this video in just a second. But Joe Manchin has a problem with the issue of climate. If you look at Joe Manchin's Twitter handle, everything is about the industries of West Virginia where he is and climate. He sees it a little bit differently. Well, someone woke up at the White House and had a brilliant idea. They looked at the provisions that have now been passed that provides money for climate and said, let's modify the language that have now been passed for climate allocation resources so that the money would qualify for some of the industries in Joe Manchin's home state of West Virginia, and that those industries could qualify to get the money. Really a big, great idea to get a done deal. How does it work? It basically is going to take some of the provisions in the past recon so far that concerns coal and natural gas power plants that were to receive billions of dollars and modify the language so that fossil fuel producers in Joe Manchin's state of West Virginia would qualify to apply for this big federal financial incentives from the federal government. What a big winner. The White House came up with the idea and has now been talking to the Democrats to modify the language, and this may be the winner. Why? Because Pelosi and others in the last 2 days said that whatever is in that recon for climate will get passed, and that the recon must get passed because the climate is such a big issue. And now that brings us up to really where we haven't seen Pelosi do this type of job for us in a long time. What did she do? She basically started to become the cheerleader for the recon in the last 24 hours. She said that the following quote when speaking to members of her group in San Francisco: "The recon will get done because it must get done." Yeah, that's Pelosi talking. Wow, incredible, great news. She then says central to the reconciliation is the climate part of this bill, of this legislation. "We have no choice but to make this decision to work on climate. We have to need it in terms of climate provisions." That was echoed by Senator Alex Padilla, Democrat of California, the former legislator here from Los Angeles. He said, no climate, no deal on the recon. Wow. So suddenly the most important thing to get the deal on the recon with Joe Manchin, Pelosi saying we have to do this recon. Incredible. Now, let's go over something that is the second part of how to get this recon and deal done, which is the price tag. How do you get it from $3 trillion into the $2 trillion? Over the last few weeks, I had told you that I saw a way to get this done, and the way you would do it is cutting the duration. We now have confirmation that that is the way it works. Let's back up. Over the last few weeks, there's been a couple of items when I sometimes say that I think something is exclusive or I'm speculating something's happening. I'm not sure. Well, no less than I think about a half dozen of them have now been confirmed by Jalapa in the last 24 hours. Let's go over what happened. Back in July, when Bernie Sanders went to meet with the Democratic senators to do a recon, he said he wanted $7 trillion for programs. and they were going to run quite a long time. We didn't know how long they were going to run. And ultimately, as they said no to 7 trillion, he said, okay, fine, I'll just shorten the duration and we'll shorten it to 3, and that'll give us a price tag of 3.5 trillion. We've known that quote since July, but we didn't know how long the programs were before, and we didn't know how long the programs were at 3.5 trillion. I had speculated they were at 20 years at 7 trillion, and we're now at 10 years at the current 3.5 trillion. Well, my reporting, both of those reports were now confirmed by Jalapal in the last 24 hours. She says that the current programs are at 10 years in the recon. Well, this brings me to the next set of details. 2 weeks ago, I said the way they can fix this recon and bring it from 3.5 trillion into 2 trillion in a blink of an eye is just shorten the duration of how many years the programs run. Instead of running 10 years, run 5 years. Pretty basic, just run them for less years. Jalapal confirmed my reporting 2 days later saying we can shorten the duration. And now in the last 24 hours, Jalapal said, it's more important we have the programs now paying 100% out rather than focusing on them watered down over 10 years. Wow. So we have the confirmation that the current 3.5 trillion is a 10-year duration. Here's how this works. Let me go over how this works, and then I'll go over the quotes and comments from Jalapal, Pelosi, and Bernie about the whole subject matter. The way this works is the following. Let's say you have $4,000 of elder care. Currently, it's a 10-year program. No one wants to switch that to $300 instead of $4,000. No one wants the program removed. Everyone understands you need a big check right now, a big check next year, and maybe a big check the year after that. And then after that, we can figure out what goes on after 3 years. Well, the way you do that is you take a program, instead of making it 10 years, make it 5 years. And that keeps you at the full payout of big checks. People need big checks right now and a sense of urgency. We don't need to really focus on what's happening 7, 8 years from now. We need to really focus on the next 1 to 3 years, and then we are on our way. And that is what Jalapal has now said. Jalapal said that many people always ask me, is it better to do something a little better than nothing? She said, no. People have been doing a little of something all their entire lives. It's not going to work. Pelosi said it's important to get this. We're going to make these decisions the next few days. She said that on Tuesday. So they may have made that decision then. Pelosi at the time on Tuesday said there's 2 ways to modify the recon to bring it to 2 trillion. One of the ways is to shorten the duration. And Jalapal immediately said, I'm happy that we were happy to see the speaker, Pelosi, say something similar in a press conference. Here was the key comment from Jalapal. We would reduce the number of years because the universality of the benefits and the immediacy of the benefits are absolutely critical. Meaning we need to get the money out now. And it needs to be a lot of money. She goes on to say, and then frankly, it's more important for us having it than having it for the entire 10 years. It's more important to have it right now, this big money, than something watered down over 10 years. And there you go. That is how they get it done. The comments now show us that I think it's a done deal. I don't see how they cannot get this done. First, modify the climate language to get Joe Manchin to sign on. Number 2, modify the language about the prescription medication to get Kristen Sinema on. That's her problem with the recon. And number 3, just run the programs for 5 years instead of 10 years, and we're done. We're done. We have the $2 trillion package. We have a package in the price tag of where the moderate sum, and we're done. I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer at this point. So looking very good. The Speaker of the House wants to do it. Nancy Pelosi wants to do it. Bernie wants to do it. Jalapal. Everyone wants to do it. And no one should hold this entire package up because of prescription medication. Kristen Sinema, just change the prescription medication prescription thing and change it. It's not particularly that popular, that prescription medication provision anyway. Let's turn to the next surprise that no one saw coming, which is the cola. Cola, not Pepsi, cola. Here it is. Your cola benefits are going up an average of 5 to 6%, and it's not just bills or proposals. It's law. In the next few weeks, your benefits, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits, will go up 5 to 6%. Now, what I'm going to show you in this recording coming up right now is that is not the only lift you're going to get. You're going to get not 1, not 2, but 3 potential raises up with this plus fifth stimulus in less than 1 year. Whoa. Okay, so let's go back to July. In July, when I first started recording about this stimulus, you know what I said? I said most of Wall Street's looking at inflation for December and saying it may be 2% or 3%. I think it may be 5%. And guess what? Now the reason that COLA is 5 to 6% is because inflation is even higher than I predicted it. That inflation may be heading to 6 or 7%. And so this is wonderful news. I said that under FIS stimulus, you would be lucky to get a raise that a benchmark of 5%. Now under COLA, which is existing law, you're going to get upwards of 6%. Yeah, but here is how FIS stimulus works. FIS stimulus comes up after this. Now, before I get into FIS stimulus, I need to go over something to make something very basic to you. Because if you've been listening, you're going to say, wait a second, did you also talk about other money for seniors? I did. So I know in the third cluster, there's money for seniors. I know that Bob Casey was proposing to add money for seniors. That's all for stimulus. That's in addition to COLA. I know that there's a lot of things for seniors being talked about in this video. That's in addition to COLA. But let me just focus on FIS stimulus, which is potentially later this year or early next year on top of COLA. FIS stimulus, let's say they get to a vote by January or February. FIS stimulus raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits by reforming the system. What are they going to do? First, they're going to raise your benefits up one time. When? After this. Yeah, so first you're going to get your 5 to 6% raise. That's the first raise. Then FIS stimulus is going to raise everyone's benefits up beyond that. A second raise. So it's a raise on top of the raise. Yeah, it's getting really good. And I'm just getting started. Third, it's going to give you another raise later next year. Wait a second, you mean 3 raises in 1 year? Yes. How does that happen? Because they're going to remove COLA, which you're looking at here, and replace it with inflation. Next year, COLA may be 0 again, and you're going to get no raise from COLA again. Well, inflation is not going to be 0% in December of next year. Maybe it'll be 2%, maybe it'll be 3%, but it's not going to be 0 inflation. So that means that your benefits will step up another percentage point, a third time, later next year. 3 raises up. So you get raised up, and then you get raised up more, and you get raised up more again. They're cumulative. One is not in replacement of the other. They're one after another. Incredible, great news. Then they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to the 1980s law. It says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. It's going to go away. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to the 1960s law. It's going to go away. And the marriage penalty is going to end. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest like Rob and Sandy and no longer fear the marriage penalty. That is FIS stimulus. Now, let's turn to the big surprise that should be no surprise to you. I guess that's a nice segue, which is the big details of the exciting money still coming out from third stimulus. Mark, which you've been on this channel, started this week with having already gotten $51,000 from this channel. It's now at nearly $90,000 this weekend. In 1 week, Mark got an additional $36,000 for rent. Seems unusual. It should not. What I've been saying over the last few weeks is that anyone who got money before from this channel should go get more money again. If you got it last year, get it again. If you got a few months ago, get it again. A lot of the people I help get big sums of money, it's been almost 2-3 months since I got them the money. Get some more. $13 billion from Treasury went out to your cities and counties and states. And last week and the week before that, I told viewers to read the Treasury statement in the newsletter for members before you reach out to your city, county, and state. Because when you do, you're going to tell them, I know what this money is. I want some of it. And that's what Prina did. Prina last week started the week at 0, ended the last week with $6,000 because of this channel. She says, hey, LALATE, I want to really thank you because when you mentioned the additional $13 billion from the Treasury, I immediately pounced and contacted the city of Austin, emailed them, and now I'm getting $6,000 for 8 months of rent into 2022. That's how you do it. That's Prina. So get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. I'm going to show you in the next few minutes how to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, food, clothing, holiday gifts, small appliances, and even potentially some small repairs. And it starts right now. We're going to reach out to 6 places. 6 places have different eligibility. They have different pots of money. So if you reach out to one, if one says no, reach out to the next. Number 2, get ready for the keywords as I say in this video. It helps get people approved. And then finally, listen for those nonprofits. Here are the 6 places you reach out to. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Here are the monies that people got a month ago for rent, but now they're heading higher. You see Mark on there? Now Mark is nearly $60,000. But we have people like Jen who is at $40,000. So get that money for rent right now. Then utilities. Reach out to all utility companies. So if you have 5, reach out to 5. Yeah, Mark, there he is. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. Next, get some SNAP. You get it from Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check, and SNAP is going up. Everyone's SNAP benefits are raised 15%, 25% lifetime automatically starting in the month of October. If you've gotten 1 item, get more items. Get 2, 3, and 4. Here you go. Here's Mark originally. Mark's nearly at $90,000 now. Lorraine, she was at $105,000. She's heading to $120,000. Get that pen paper ready. We're going to go over the nonprofits. First, the six places I tell you to reach out to, make sure you reach out to all 6. If you have an eligibility problem at all 6, then reach out to the nonprofits. There are 5 nonprofits, and guess what? They generally pay for all the same items on the third stimulus, but they have different eligibility. So if you have an eligibility problem, reach out to them. Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. They're also featured in the newsletter. The second thing that's really big about the nonprofits is that they pay for items that the federal government doesn't pay for. They pay for small appliances to keep you warm or cool, like fans or heaters or portable furnaces or portable electric heaters. They also do small nominal repairs to make sure you're safe, like a window repair sometimes. They also pay for some things like refrigerators and furnaces for viewers of the channel. The common theme is making sure you're safe, cool, and warm. They want to make sure you can survive a bad winter or a bad summer. They also provide you clothing if you're a homeless person, clothing if you can afford clothing, or shelter. They'll provide shelter to a homeless person or get them into a shelter. They do a lot of wonderful things. Salvation Army is now doing holiday gifts. They do them in October. Don't wait till November. They do them now. They all have wonderful things they do, and some of the stuff I don't even know that they do. So reach out to them. They are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities. Next, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The member link is under the video. The membership newsletter goes out every night about 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, about 2 hours after evening to LALATE. It is sent from the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, which is totally free, by the way. It's at news.lalate.com/alerts. And it features all the big money available under first, second, and third stimulus. As we look at this fourth stimulus, I think I can get viewers on average about $15,000 from this fourth stimulus. That's before we get to any of these add-on items, just from the 3 clusters. Well, when we look back at third stimulus, when it became law in January of 2021, I said I can get viewers about $15,000. I undervalued it. The average viewer of this channel has now gotten $40,000 from third stimulus. I've now had several viewers get over $100,000 from third stimulus. So people are getting massive sums of money, even just in the last few weeks from third stimulus. This is what I do. I show people how to get these big sums of money, and I can give you that information. But you have to make the phone calls. You absolutely have to make the phone calls. You met Mark. Remember Johnny? He got $80,000 from his channel. Johnny got $80,000 from his channel from 7 items. 7 different items paid him money. So imagine how many phone calls he probably made. Maybe 14, maybe 15. He didn't just call 7 places. So you can't just call one place and get they don't answer the phone. I left a voicemail. I didn't hear anything. I'm giving up situation. No, these people who are getting these big sums of money, they're making lots of phone calls because the money is there. You just have to make the phone call. So take the information I deliver on this channel, take the information and pounce. You can get this real sums of money. And under third stimulus, Average is about 40,000. I'm predicting for 4 stimulus, I can get you about $15,000. The unemployment benefits back from your state, they're coming. Track them by calling them up. And then the refund check from IRS as well. If you got any sums of money, post them in the live chat right now. As we go into a new week, which is important to remember, is that the situation's changing very quickly and evolving very quickly. I'll have brand new news every single hour upon the hour that shows you the latest developing details. It's important for you to know what's in this recon. Much like third stimulus, you need to know what's in the recon because it's always first come, first serve. There's never always unlimited sources of funds in these programs. So when it becomes law, you want to know that you can pounce. And the way you know it is by knowing what the program was about and learning about that program on this channel. As we go into a new week, what I'm excited to see is that they can get this recon shrunk by shrinking the number of years of the programs. The programs don't need to be 10 years. 5 years is fine, then we have a deal. By changing the language of the fossil fuels and by changing the prescription medications. And at that point, we got a deal. But meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing you next on Evening's Countdown, and then our shows at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11:30, 3 a.m., 3:30, and then we go right into early mornings, LA, at 4 a.m. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. You don't want to miss a single video across the board. It has featured information you need by the hour. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful evening, and stay with LA for more.